go. It's so good. Yo, what up, Hammies? It's your boy BP Ham, and today we're making a Vietnamese recipe called Bún Bò Xào. And what this is a vermicelli bowl with vermicelli noodles at the bottom, some stir-fried beef and onions, topped with all your favorite green vegetables, and then you're gonna toss in some soy sauce or fish sauce, and you got yourself a delicious, quick, and healthy meal that you can have for lunch or dinner on any day of the week. I'm super hungry, so let's get started. For this recipe, you're gonna need beef, vegetable oil, fish sauce, oyster sauce, sugar, onion, pepper, vermicelli noodles, chicken powder, green onion, and all the green vegetables that you like. So we got lettuce here, cilantro, Thai basil, and Asian mint. The first step of this recipe is cutting up your beef. So we have about 1.5 pounds of olive round beef steak. What we're gonna do is we're going to pat this dry. You could use different cuts of meat, maybe a flank steak, but what you want to do is cut this very, very thinly. And if you want, you can have your butcher do this for you, but I just got this piece, so we're just going to grab our knife and cut this as thin as we can. Get our knife and cut just really, really thin pieces. And this is kind of thick, so I'm going to just cut this in half first. You want to make sure you have a sharp knife, or if you want, you could freeze your beef for maybe 1 or 2 hours, and that makes it easier to slice. Make sure when you're cutting raw meats that you use a different cutting board, or at least clean your cutting board before you eat any like vegetables that you're going to eat raw or anything that you're not going to cook. Cutting it really thin keeps it very tender. It's not the most tender cut of meat, so when you cut it thin, it makes it tender. And while you're cutting your beef, just boil a pot of water on the stove so you can cook your noodles in. And when you're cutting beef, cut against the grain. So you see those fibers running through the meat, you want to cut across those because it makes it more tender as you are eating it. And it takes some getting used to cutting really thin slices, but the longer you do it, the easier it's going to get. We got all that meat cut up. We're just going to stick that into a bowl. Now we're going to cut an onion. Here we have like a small to medium onion. If you have a big onion, I would just cut it in half and use half. And since this is going into the meat marinade, we're gonna use the same cutting board. I just cut off the ends, chop it in half, and then we just peel off one of the layers. I'm gonna give them a quick rinse, and we're just gonna cut this into slices. I like a lot of onion, but if you don't like onion, you don't have to include it. We're just gonna toss that in to our mixture here. Next, we're gonna get some green onion. So you get 3 to 4 green onion stalks. Just chop off the ends and then cut these into about 2 to 3 inch slices. With the white stem, I like to cut them in half. This will also go into your meat mixture. Depending on how strong you want your marinade, you can adjust the following ingredients, but this is what I'm gonna use for today. So I'm gonna add in about a tablespoon and a half of oyster sauce, 2 tablespoons of fish sauce, 1 teaspoon of sugar, a tablespoon of vegetable oil, and then a teaspoon of chicken powder. I would get this brand because all the other ones I've had do not taste as good, and I'll link this down in the description box below. 1 teaspoon of that chicken powder. And then finish it off with some cracked black pepper. You could use regular black pepper, but fresh cracked black pepper is always better. It's best to use your hands to mix it up, but if you don't want to do that, you can grab some tongs. I have a glove here, so we're gonna put that glove on and just mix this all together. Make sure when you're mixing it, you really get in there so all of those slices get some marinade on them. I'm gonna add just a little bit more oyster sauce, probably about a tablespoon. It all kind of depends on how much onion and green onion you put in. We got all that mixed up, and now we're gonna cover it and let that marinate for at least 15 minutes. I recommend 30, but if you're strapped for time, 15 minutes should be enough. Now we're gonna cook our rice vermicelli noodles. We got some boiling water on the stove in a pot, and we're gonna get our vermicelli noodles. We're gonna get our vermicelli noodles. This is a 2-pound bag. I'm gonna cook about half of this bag, so 1 pound will feed about 4 to 5 people. All noodle brands have a different cooking time, so just follow the directions on the packet. For this brand right here, it says boil for 8 minutes, and then we're going to run it over cold water once that time is up. So here's what they look like. They're just dried white noodles. And we're going to put this into boiling water for 8 minutes. Some brands say to cover, uncover, so make sure you follow the directions on your brand so that it cooks correctly. Our water is boiling, so we're gonna stick this in, grab some chopsticks, and just move it around a little bit in there. And then we're gonna let this go for about 8 minutes. What I really like about this recipe is you can just prepare everything ahead of time. You can cut your beef, marinate it, just leave it in the fridge, cook some noodles, leave it to the side, and whenever you want to eat or whenever your family wants to eat, you just saute the meat really fast. It takes probably like 2 minutes, put it on some noodles, and you got a meal. Every so often, come over and stir your noodles to make sure they're not sticking to the bottom. It's been 8 minutes, our noodles are cooked. We're gonna bring this over to the sink and run it over cold running water. You just want to make sure you run your hands through it, make sure that they separate. We're gonna let this drain, cover it with a damp paper towel, and set it off to the side. Our meat has been marinating for about 30 minutes. Now we're gonna cook it real quick and then put it all together. So turn your heat to medium high. We're gonna knock a slice of butter in there. You can use oil if you want, but butter gives it that nice flavor. Melt that butter in there, and with this recipe, you're going to be cooking per person. So you don't want to cook all that meat in here because it's going to get all liquidy, and what you want is a nice quick sear on the meat instead of like a liquidy mess. And it cooks really fast, so don't worry about, taking too long for this to be made. Once that butter's melted, you're going to add in a serving of meat for one person, so however much that person wants. I usually do about 1 tongueful and a half. Oh, it already smells so good hitting the pan. You see how when it hits that pan, it makes that searing noise? That's what you want. If you were to put this all in here, it would kind of bubble up, kind of all the liquid would be released, and it would not be as good. You want to do this on a pretty high heat. It's going to cook really fast, so just saute that around for about probably 2 minutes. So you can eat it slightly undercooked. So however you like your beef, you can cook it all the way through if you want, but however you like it, you do you. So this is to where I like it. So I'm gonna turn off the heat, transfer it to a plate. Oh, you hear that nice sizzle. And I mean, how fast was that? That was like 2 minutes. We got the meat cooked, and now we're just gonna put it all together. Now we're gonna put it all together. We're gonna layer down just any kind of lettuce. This is romaine lettuce, putting it down. Top that off with some of our vermicelli noodles. Get your beef and put it right on. All that sauce too, it's gonna be delicious. Got that beef and onion and green onion. And then finish it off with whatever other veggies that you have. Right here, I got some cilantro. So we got cilantro, Asian mint, some Thai basil. And lastly, I'm gonna ladle on some nuoc, which is sweet fish sauce. This is basically sugar, fish sauce, garlic, and some sambal. I do have a video of me making this if you guys want to check it out. If you don't have this or you don't like this, you can also eat it with soy sauce, which my dad likes better. So whatever you like, you can use. So I'm just gonna ladle on some of that fish sauce. I like a lot. And that's it. Your Bún Bò Xào, which is a quick, simple, easy vermicelli noodles with beef stir fry. So we're about to taste test. We got that, looks so good. We got the beef, the onion, green onion, all our vegetables. You're just gonna mix this up. Get all of that incorporated in there. Get that sauce around all the noodles. Ideally, you would rip up the lettuce leaves, but I was, trying to make it look nice for you guys. Here we go. Mmm. 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 It's so good. I mean, I say this every time, but every time I eat some Vietnamese food, it just reminds me of home. Truly delicious. And, It is truly delicious. That noodle with the beef balanced with the fish sauce or soy sauce, it's so good, and I definitely recommend you guys make it, try it out. It's so quick. You can make it ahead and just eat it throughout the week, which is what I do all the time. So if you guys like this recipe, if you guys like this recipe, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Give this video a thumbs up and comment below on what you would like me to cook next. Until next time, guys, peace.